This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. The Little Mermaid is not The Little Mermaid, it's The Little Mermaid, the live-action remake of the Disney classic, The Little Mermaid. These live-action remakes are easy targets these days, right? And I try to avoid them at all costs. We don't really need another guy on YouTube making a video about them. We get it, they suck. Also, I don't like buying tickets to things where these sales will most likely mean more of these movies. Not that my ticket makes a difference at the end of the day, but most importantly, I kind of just stopped caring about these movies. They're for kids and always have been, and frankly, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a big man. But my curiosity got the best of me with this one, because even the people behind this had to at some point admit that a live-action Little Mermaid would be a tricky one to pull off, and I just had to see how they went about it. I also love the original Little Mermaid, and I wanted to see it, I'll be honest. And I didn't love it, and I think it'll be fun to talk about, so here we go. If this had any upgrade from the original, it would probably be Halle Bailey singing. She has a gorgeous voice. I love the original music, but Halle Bailey kind of blew me away with this. I can't say as a whole that it delivers with the musical numbers, we'll unpack them in a second, but I really thought her singing was great. The acting is another story. What I have to say about Halle Bailey's acting is about what I have to say about most aspects of this movie. It was directionless, which is to say I can't put that much blame on her. She just didn't really do anything with the character. She's just trying her best to emulate the original, and it just comes off a little stiff and directionless. The only thing she's really using as inspiration is that first film, and in doing so captures the spirit of that character beautifully, but when dealing with a bigger film like this, coming in at 2 hours and 15 minutes, especially in live action, I feel like she needed to bring some sort of weight to the performance and to make her believable, and she just doesn't really bring that weight. Or if she did, it was lost in the CGI, but we'll talk about that in a second. And you know what? I don't know what's worse, that stiffness or whatever they decided to do with Awkwafina as Scuttle and Daveed Diggs as Sebastian. Once again, no disrespect to either of these actors, I like them both, but their voice acting here just really was not working for me. I mean, at least they chose a place to take the characters, but I don't know if this was the direction. God, there's a rap scene between the two, and it's just so much worse than you think it's gonna be. And Melissa McCarthy as Ursula, maybe this is a hot take. Again, another actor who I do like, but what a disappointment. Her voice is fun, she's doing a funny voice, it's going all sorts of places and it gets the job done, but her face is, again, so stiff and wooden. Where's the energy? Where's the villainous grin, the sliminess? She just looks bored. Which, fair, but come on. The best performance in this thing is Jessica Alexander as Vanessa, Ursula's human transformation. She brings it and plays up the cartoony evil look, which I realize as I'm typing this is the minimum, but hey, we'll take what we can get here. I thought she was fantastic, and it's a shame that she was in so little of the movie. I saved the best for last, starting with Jonah Hauer-King as Eric, a face that looked incredibly familiar until I realized he's our boy from A Dog's Way Home, a movie that longtime fans of the channel will know is a K-Dog classic, and Jonah to me scratches that same itch that Noah Centineo does for me, this hunky hot guy that I can't take seriously ever, which makes everything he does so silly. Even if it's a serious scene and he's running up a mountain, I'm just like, he looks funny. When he drops the line, "My Little Mermaid," it's comedy gold. But nothing he does is ever as funny as whatever the hell Javier Bardem is doing with King Triton. Between this and Lyle Lyle Crocodile, this man is on a roll. He is running the family film industry. For most of the movie, he's nothing to write home about. He's just doing his usual thing. But the last 10 minutes are so unintentionally funny. He just keeps popping up in the ocean out of nowhere, just sitting in there up to his pecs. And it's one of those things where I'm like, how long has he been sitting there watching these people? The hair, the weird face he's making. Any sincere moment in those last 10 minutes went right through me because of how silly he looked. It's worth the price of a ticket, to be honest. Now, if you're paying attention, I wasn't crazy about any of these performances, really, besides the one that it only existed outside of the water with little to no CGI involved. Which is to say, I don't know how much of this I can blame on the actors, especially Halle Bailey, when so much of this movie is them talking to tennis balls. You really notice how limiting this way of making movies is in just the first 15 minutes. They have this long establishing shot of the ocean, and yeah, in IMAX, it looks cool and pretty. I was actually genuinely surprised at how much I was enjoying it. The colors actually kind of pop, the camera swirls, it looks neat. And then the characters, start talking. Literally in the first scene where they have to have any sort of interaction, King Triton talking to his daughters, things look immediately bad and like they aren't in the same room. This technology does give you beautiful scenery and really cool environments, but oh my god, does it make every other scene look silly and unnatural. They're just floating heads on top of CGI tentacles. You warm up to it, but it never gets to a point where you can take it seriously, and that's a huge flaw. Again, it's a kids movie. We don't need to take stuff like this that seriously. Just look at Spy Kids 3D, a certified masterpiece. But I would at least want the actors to not feel so trapped and lifeless in these environments. Besides, aren't kids movies usually the kinds of places where you see super over-the-top silly performances? For a kids movie, this feels weirdly dull. While we're talking CGI, let's address the animals. I will say, this is better than whatever they were doing in The Lion King, but it still doesn't really work for me. Again, I'll give Awkwafina the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe her voice acting was better suited for a character whose design actually matched how exuberant her voice sounded, because it just sounds weird coming out of such a real-looking bird. It feels like barely a step up from what we were doing in Racing Stripes. Like, how do we get here? And the same thing with Sebastian, one of the most important characters in the movie. We see a lot of him. He should be expressive like he is in the original. It's what makes the Under the Sea number so exciting and fun. It's what makes the Kiss the Girl song so fun. But because he looks like just some crab that's slightly cartoony, it just felt weird. I will say Max the dog works. It's still a cute dog. He wasn't that cartoonish in the original film either. He was fine. Max walks out of this unscathed. Now, something I haven't seen a lot of people address is the length. This thing sits at 135 minutes. The original, being 83 minutes, does feel a little rushed at times. They obviously have to play certain scenes up a bit more in this new one, especially the climax. But 2 hours and 15 minutes for The Little Mermaid is ambitious. That said, I never noticed the editing, which was really nice. Nowadays, especially with these blockbusters, I always end up seeing a handful of horrible cuts because studios treat younger audiences like they have the attention span of a squirrel, and I was pleasantly surprised to see how smooth this was. Even when they had to cut around shitty line reads, they made it work. As I start to wrap things up, I should mention one of the biggest annoyances, and that's the color palette. The thing about the original Little Mermaid is it's one of the most vibrant animated movies out there. It's one of Disney's best. Each scene comes with its own unique color palette and visual aesthetic. Each is so distinct, and it all pops. Every underwater scene in this movie kind of blends together. It all looks the same. It doesn't matter if we're with King Triton or if we're with Ursula. For a lot of it, we're looking at the same dark shade of blue. Maybe this is a snobbish complaint. I like color, and I wish this had more of it. It got a little dull after a while. All of this said, I think this movie is a step up from The Lion King, like a huge step up. Halle Bailey's singing brings a lot of life into this. She is a great Ariel, even if she doesn't really pack a punch when she isn't singing. The editing is smooth. There's nothing offensively bad besides that rap scene. By Disney live-action remake standards, yeah, it isn't the worst thing in the world. And that said, it actually feels too scared of being lumped in with other Disney remakes to branch out and do something new. So much so that what we end up getting is a stiff, at times beat-for-beat remake of a much more imaginative movie. But once again, you might as well buy a ticket just to see Javier Bardem. It's what a sight. Anyway, thanks for watching. Go watch The Little Mermaid and form your own opinion. And before you head out, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Squarespace, the best place to go to build a website and make that idea of yours happen. They have this thing called Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design system that has made it infinitely easier to make your awesome ideas come to life. You start with a best-in-class website template and customize every design detail with reimagined drag-and-drop technology for desktop or mobile. If you're an aspiring filmmaker like myself, you should really consider putting together a portfolio, and Squarespace has the tools to host video content, organize your video library, and showcase your content on beautiful video pages. And to make that process just that much easier, they have an asset library where you can upload, organize, and access all your content from one place. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Karsten to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.